Welcome one, welcome all. This is Lions Central Radio. I am Nick Castora, and you all know my co-host Brandon Alisklu, who is always alongside for the wonderful ride. The Lions didn't lose this week, folks. Coming off a bye, Lions didn't even play a game. A lot did happen in Lions land, though. Tom Lewand, Martin Mayhew out. You folks already know that by now. The news breaks the day after we record our show last week, so no chance for instant analysis on this one from us. You know what happened. Martha Firestone Ford laid down the law and got rid of a lot of people within the organization. The Lombardi firing was just the tip of the iceberg, it turned out. We'll have some analysis on that. We'll talk about some of the potential names for the spots in the front office. We've also got some news on DeAndre Levy, and we'll look forward to the Packers game. Yeah, the Lions are headed to Lambeau for probably their toughest game of the season, which isn't what you want to hear when all this turmoil in the front office and a 1-7 football team. But we will break down that game. And in the middle of all that, we're going to do a little bit of a crossover with the Detroit Lions podcast. It turns out we're not the only Lions podcast available to you folks. So we're going to do a little bit of stuff with them, go over some midseason awards, a thing we've been doing for 2 years now on the program. So a lot coming at you. As always, first, I turn it over to my co-host.
Yeah, we can all be thankful for not having to worry about the Lions playing last week. It was something that, well, I think everybody enjoyed a little free time and a little stress-free Sunday, if you will. Folks who also are there, very thankful that you guys listen each and every week and that you continue to tell friends, whether it be via email, Facebook, Twitter, or whatever you may use. We also want to thank you for visiting the website, Lions Central Radio, clicking through the Amazon banner, and just for you folks, we're going to go ahead and add a Groupon banner as well. So you'll be able to get all those wonderful deals by clicking through our site. You'll save. You'll give us a little money. It'll cost you nothing. It might even save you money. I don't know. They didn't tell me. But either way, it does everybody a whole world of good. And also, folks, if you do listen on, say, iTunes and or Stitcher, please give us a rating there. We'd really like to build up our reputation. And, well, folks, you guys are our marketing force. So, as always, we thank you for listening. We thank you for your continued support. I guess two guys that no longer have any support, Tom Lewand and Martin Mayhew. Last week, you asked me if I thought they'd be employed at this time, Nick. I believe I said yes. Mm-hmm. This doesn't happen very often, so I'm not sure how to deal with it. It appears I was wrong. I'm still doing some research. There might be a way for me to weasel out of this. I can't remember what you said, though. Did you think that this was where did you put this in the possibility realm?
Well, with us recording on Tuesday night, I said that if they didn't drop the hammer on Monday or before we recorded on Tuesday, then it probably wasn't going to happen, that was likely the window. It turns out Martha, I suppose in her old age, being 90, she moves a little slower, waited until Wednesday to go ahead and drop the proverbial hammer. I thought if we recorded then, if it hadn't happened already, it wasn't going to happen until the end of the season. That goes to show you what the Lions Central Radio hosts know about the Lions, as we were both completely wrong.
Well, I won't go that far. We are very aware that this is not a good football team at the moment. And I will say, bringing up a woman's age will bring you a lot of scorn. You need to be careful. She has a lot of power.
Wouldn't it be great if Martha Ford's listening into the show? Like if she listens to Lions Central Radio on a weekly basis.
I mean, and if she tweets me,
yeah,
or Instagrams or Snapchats me and says,
all viable
"You gotta go," my hands are tied, Nick.
I understand. I wonder.
It's been a good run, buddy. But those two, obviously, Lewand's been around forever, and
I think that was the more surprising one, honestly. I mean, if you had to pick one that was going to stay, I think it was going to be Tom Lewand, who's known to be a close family friend of Bill Ford Jr., who's been with this organization even longer than Mayhew. And I figured at worst they were just going to reassign him and kind of shuffle him around and move him somewhere else. But no, Martha Ford did exactly what I think a lot of people thought she should do and cut bait completely with both Lewand and Mayhew. So good on her for making, I think, the difficult move, but the necessary move.
Well, and as a lot of people may or may not know, he was a driving force behind getting Ford Field built and even bringing it downtown. From what I understand, this is all hearsay. As far as I particularly know, I know there are some out there that did not like the man and did like Martin Mayhew a lot. His decisions just didn't work out, but this is the NFL, not for long and all that good stuff, or bad stuff, I guess, maybe as a word for some. There were a couple of things I'm sure everybody saw her statement or read about it or heard about it or whatever. There was no Q&A period, so it kind of took away for any of the fun. But the one thing that did stand out was the explicit use of national search.
Yeah.
Um, some folks said, they laughed like, yeah, well, they're all national searches. Actually, no. Last time it was limited to Wayne County. The last time the Lions looked outside of Wayne County was 2001 when they hired Millen.
Oh boy.
So it's been a while since they've really looked outside of their own family there, and I think that is actually a good thing. I'm still somewhat surprised by the timing of it,
Hmm.
but it sets a different standard, as you said, laying down the law. The old ways apparently are not going to be put up with. You do have to wonder. Um, well, I guess was she pushing for this kind of thing a couple years ago, or
Well,
where was she in the hierarchy at that time?
yeah, it's an interesting point because I think the number was since Mr. Ford Sr. before his passing, when he had the team, he only made what 5 general manager moves in his entire tenure as owner, which for a franchise that has struggled as long as the Lions have, that's shocking in and of itself. But it shows how long of a leash he was willing to give guys. Uh, and here we have Martha Ford, who mid-season firing, which is something you just never see out of this organization. So that in and of itself was surprising to a degree. And then in the national search, like you're saying, it was usually, even when Mr. Ford did make the firings, it was finding someone else within the organization, or in the case of Martin Mayhew, it was the guy that Matt Millen wanted to replace him and recommended to replace him, which there's
Oh
plenty to get into
God.
with them taking the advice of Matt Millen for who should replace him in and of itself. But the point being, it was always someone familiar with the organization who is a part of the organization. And here we have Mrs. Ford saying right away, it's a national search. We're looking outside of what we already have, and it's going to be a legitimate search for the next general manager. Again, we don't have a track record with her, but it's good to at least hear that they're going outside of their comfort zone.
Well, and one other thing that they've done, and I don't know that they did this last time. Well, they obviously didn't hire a search firm for when they hired Mayhew. They already had it all sussed out, as we've come to learn now. But they did hire a search firm for this occasion, and of
Mm-hmm.
course, they will also use the NFL has a committee for team presidents and that type of thing. And I know Ron Wolf's on it, John Madden, and maybe it was Bill Polian was another one. So Detroit will use all of those
Can they get Bill
resources.
Polian? Is he available?
I don't know if he is. I believe his son is, and I can't think of his first name off the top of my head because I didn't put him in my little list here
Well, we
of
don't want
possible
him.
candidates.
Bill would be the better one. But yeah, there are some names that we'll get into for sure. I know you have 4 of them here for us. Before we talk about the potential names, let me just ask you the question. Do you think that Sheldon White, who has the interim tag now applied to him as the general manager, does he have an honest chance to earn the job with what happens the rest of the season, or is this just don't touch anything? We have to have someone in this position until we do the honest search in the off season.
No, I don't think there's any way he can earn the job, but it's not just because it doesn't have that much to do with him
Mm-hmm.
so much as the timing of this firing. It's post trade deadline. So
Right.
what could he possibly do except pick guys up off of waivers as Detroit did today or yesterday? Was that C.J. Wilson,
Yeah.
defensive tackle, because Andre Fluellen is done for this season. Don't worry, folks. I'm sure he'll be back next year.
He'll be back.
But I do not believe that there is any way she's keeping him on. All the reports that came out of Allen Park that day talked about they were going through the entire building, the facilities, and going up to everybody almost in that office space style of, well, what do you do here?
Yeah.
Okay, and how do you spend your day? Okay, you're fired. You could stay. And it doesn't seem that they're going to keep anybody on in that respect.
Yeah, the other thing was when the news was first breaking was, is Jim Caldwell going to keep his job? Turns out he is. Caldwell remains on for at least the remainder of this season, it would seem. I guess with Martha Ford, she could still make that decision later on, but it seems he'll be in place for the rest of the year. Some were saying, why not remove Caldwell and give Terrell Austin a chance, promote him, and see what happens there. I think by and large, though, the national sentiment is at this point, you keep Caldwell on just to have some stability for the rest of the season, and then you open up the head coaching search for next season.